Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is presenting pet psychic AMINAH. Our topic is the benefits of digging in the dirt. Now, I did not say dishing the dirt. I said digging in the dirt. And full disclaimer, I'm not digging in the dirt. So let's welcome pet psychic AMINAH, who can walk us through why it is beneficial to get your hands dirty. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I mean, we could go with so many fun trailers because, metaphorically, or you could use it literally, or you could use it sarcastically. I mean, there's a million ways, and you covered at least 3 in the intro. Thank you. Thank you. I'm all about the funny and all about the levity. If we learn to laugh through life, you can just not take yourself too seriously. There's tons of times to take yourself seriously. It doesn't have to be now. Why are we talking about this? Because it's one of my specialties. Dr. JACALYN is absolutely clairvoyant, and I literally mean it. Technically, she knows her hosts and her co-guests and all of that and what we're passionate about. So I must have told her at least 100 times all the things I'm planting or growing or whatever. Let me back up and say this can be for everybody if you choose it. And what I want you to do is get close to earth. I want you to get close to nature. I want you to get close to animals, hence what I do for a living. And all of that will help you get through those bad days, help you get through the rough work hours, help you get through an illness. Sometimes we just need to leave our everyday to do something maybe different and or something you don't get to do very often and find a new passion. You might hate it. You can wear gloves. Don't want to touch the dirt. For me, I'm the worst. I want to touch the soil. I want to dig up the holes. I want to change the rocks. I want to touch it all. But that's me. So we're going to talk about how many ways you can bring nature into your life.
Thank you, AMINAH. I thought of you the other day. I had to put up the hurricane shutters in the back of the house. And of course, they've been sitting for a while, and little people, friends decided to move in and build their homes there. And so I was wearing my weightlifting gloves, and I saw, spiders and ants. And I just said, I'm just letting you know now, I'm flipping this over. I'm going to have, so you can stay where you are, but do not come near me. And none of them did.
And I love it because you've embraced the fact that you have to live amongst the spiders. You have to live, especially if you're going to leave boards hanging around and panels and weather, whatever, a bike parked for 6 months because you were going to exercise.
It's a coat hanger now.
Exactly. Indoor bike, outdoor bike, whatever. We all have things that we're going to get to, or it's in the garage. And honestly, we've had the spider conversation, and they're so necessary. And I personally am not a fan of mosquitoes. They seem to hunt me down, find me anywhere I'm at, and take a sample. And I have itchies all over since I was a little kid. Wherever we went, wherever we traveled, if you've seen the show, I've traveled extensively, not only on my own as an adult, but as a child. of a teacher. So every summer we travel to the US. I have seen the US almost in its entirety 5 times. And I'm so fortunate because the cultures, the way people do things, the food they offer, and the bugs, they're just different colors, different sizes, but we need them all. We need them all, even the spiders. If you don't like them, then ask them to move and or make it inhospitable, meaning don't leave empty cupboards, cabinets, something where they can put up this great web for a spider between one door and another door, because nobody ever walks through it. And don't leave that space for them to build a home. Squirrels will come in during their baby season if they find it safer in your garage than it is out in the wild. I hope it's safer in your garage. But that doesn't mean you want baby squirrels in there. And there are wildlife specialists that will come in and help you move them. So what are we talking about? We're talking about coexisting, but now we're going to go towards the soil. If it's a house plant, if it's an outdoor plant. Right now, I have no yard. And this is maybe only the second or third time in my life that I've not had a proper backyard and or a thing of dirt. I have a thing of dirt here, and it's literally smaller than my dining room table. But I've got 3 large pots in there, and they're growing beautifully. I'll bring pictures sometime, and you'll see I rescue most of my plants. And I love it because, first of all, I'm very cheap. And if you go to the back of any hardware store, a lot of times they will put them in the back and hope, because somebody didn't water them. They don't have staff anymore. They don't have horticulturists in most of the chain hardware stores that have nurseries. They don't have those. You can find those. They are nurseries that have professionals in there, and they're wonderful, wonderfully educated, and they're dying to tell you whatever you want to know. So that is a great place to start. I go and buy a lot of half-dead plants because part of my love is to bring them back. Can I bring them all back? No. But at least I'll only spend $1. I want you to think about getting out in the sun. And even if you are going to garden in your home, that's okay too. But I really, really encourage you to garden outside. I have stairs. I don't have a yard. I have a tiny square. Technically, it has dirt. It has a bunch of pots on it. But I have no yard. I'm in a condo. And so everything just goes up. There's no real place for plants, and they're not going to want me to grow ivy on their building because I'm renting. I don't own it. So that wouldn't be something even the association, if I did own it, they wouldn't allow. So what I did, I have plats on every step. Everything's different. And you go, well, how do you get in? How do you get in with the groceries? Well, I make sure the pots are pushed as far to one side and that they are in diameter, very, very small and or flat or some other decorative. But what I'm told is my neighbors come by, they say they love it. My family goes down and they love it. Now they're used to my millions of plants that I'm going to put up. And I share a trellis with one of my neighbors. And they always like, it's always so fun to see what you put on a plant next. It is about that. Do you see the positive energy? Having your hands in the soil is coming back to core. We talk about it a lot. I want you to talk about it when you get your mental health back to core and back to healthy. This is part of it. I'm offering you this idea of maybe putting your hands in the soil and trying it out. And you don't have to go to the hardware store and spend millions. You can do what I do. Go to the back. And a lot of chain hardware stores, Home Depot in the US and Lowe's, are very good about putting half-dead plants in the back where they sell pots or some other gardening equipment. And they're cheap. They're really cheap. They're $1 up and down of $1. Just depends on their condition and how big they are. But that is some of the good that comes out of touching and being in the soil, close to earth. I promise you, you being outside, eventually the anger goes, the stress goes. You could literally, I have done this, Dr. Jacalyn. I know you probably haven't never done this, but I have actually gone outside after I had an argument, doesn't matter with who, had a horrible argument with somebody. We disagreed on something. It was probably years ago. And I went out and got a pickaxe and I literally put out an entire third of an acre. I got weeded within that weekend. It can go to your benefit. Can go to your benefit.
I love what you shared here. And I do have a kind of a question to really look at a couple of different things. So if I were to go and get some houseplants, I would have no problem getting my hands in there
Mm-hmm.
because there's nothing living in there yet. Now, if I were to go outside and start digging around, there's an entire community of things living there.
Possibly,
So
yes.
does it make any difference from a health perspective? Let's say, as another example, I mentioned to you about, I'm a Juice Plus distributor. We actually have this tower that you can grow your own food in your home. So there's
Mm-hmm.
soil and everything else, versus I plant a garden outside and I'm growing tomatoes and everything that's interested in tomatoes is living there. So can I grow it inside and get my hands in the dirt, or do I got to go outside and do it that way?
There are, the terrariums, not the terrariums, the greenhouses, terrariums for different thing. The little greenhouses you can get for indoors. You can get special sun lights for indoors. And that I'm glad you brought it up because, of course, these are not things I normally use. So I'm glad we're giving options that people can grow in this inside. And what is really commonly done, from what I understand, in the industry, is they make seedlings. They are putting in all these little cups or these little like a little root cup, and so the pot is natural, and so you can put the whole thing, the pot, the dirt, the plant, in the soil once it is yay high, whatever that plant is, so that it's stable, and then you're putting in a root into the ground. So you can do that, and they have wonderful greenery growers. I'm missing the word completely, that you can have in your house and grow from seed and then transplant them out. So that's one way you can do it. And it's very clean because that little pot either is, what I highly recommend is you get a pot that is made to be put in the soil, that is biodegradable. It's really good for the roots because it's got its own nutrients and retains water better than just putting the seed in the ground, and you kind of have to deal with all the outside elements. And you can do both. You can do both. You can have them, grow them in, but you have to have a grow light if you're going to grow them in, because they need a certain type of sun and a certain many hours of sun. There's no reason you can't grow your own vegetables in the house.
Good to know.
Did I even get close to your question?
Yeah, you did. You got close to the question. You did. So here's a follow-up question. Just like we might go into the kitchen cabinet and there's a bag of flour and some new inhabitants had somehow gotten in there. When we have houseplants or a terrarium, or we're using the thing I told you about, the tower, somehow do the animals from outside living in soil, do they find a way to get into the house and get into your houseplant and they move in there?
I don't want to say it's never, because in some states, Arizona probably has zero problem with this. Florida, maybe like a 80% problem with this, because there's so much humidity. There's so much more equalizing of the environment from inside a house to outside a house. So yeah, we've got air conditioners and we've got heaters and all that. I would now never say, oh, that's never going to happen. Because somebody's going to write me and say, oh, it happened to me. Because everything is possible. Probable, not so much. Possible, yes. So no matter how many screens we have, no matter how many windows and doors you close, somebody either came on the cuff of your pants or they rode another way. What you need to keep in mind is that you can walk back outside. And what I recommend, especially for people that are really, bugs are not for everybody, and that is totally okay. So I suggest you get anything from a styrofoam cup to a envelope to whatever, and just scoop them up carefully and take them outside and say, you know what, this is where you belong. We're not going here. Mosquitoes is a whole different thing. They bite. I'm not really a fan of those. So I'm going to let you guys deal with mosquitoes in the way you are experts back east. I'm more of an expert in all the other landscapes than the high humidity that creates animals. So yes, you're going to keep your screens up. Yes, you're going to keep your window able to close out, but they are going to come in possibly when you walk in the door. They may be where they were on your jacket. So what do? Try to keep your home as clean as possible. Anything from literally vinegar and water will really be a great natural deterrent. Another thing, I haven't talked about this in a while, but you brought it up, and I hope somebody gets something out of it, because it is about the dirt, but not really. But if you live in like mosquito country, guess what? One of the best over-the-counter things repels mosquitoes.
Skin so soft.
Yay, she knows. It's wonderful. They hate the stuff. Now, you don't want to put on too much. It's baby oil, and you'll be sticky everywhere. It doesn't matter if they bite you, that they're stuck to you. But yeah, that has been around for years, and you can get the baby oil and just put it on a little cotton swab, and it's a great repellent. Another thing they say, I don't have a lot of science on this. I've tried it once, and I think my tent mate and my family almost disowned me because I did the garlic route. And they're like, you smell bad. Now the camp smells bad. Now the tent smells bad. So go carefully on your choices. Go carefully on your choices. But when you take the time to get your hands into nature, and what we're talking about is getting down to the roots, getting down to the soil, even if it's the day you decide to pull the weeds because you don't want them stealing the nutrition from the plants that you're trying to have thrive. And that's basically what a weed does. It comes in and says, oh, look, it's moist, it's wet, it's got fertilizer, I'm going to come here. And seeds will blow in from everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Right now, I'm in deep seed removal because I have a tree above us that has those little those seed balls, those giant seed balls. And so I have seeds everywhere in every pot all the time. So I spend a great deal of this time of season is picking them out of the soil, so I don't get them confused, especially if I have new growth and new pots going out that I won't necessarily, because they're not big enough for me to identify yet. Take the time to go out and be in the sun. And I'm talking, if you have skin that's really sensitive, wear a hat, wear sunscreen, wear long sleeves. It's really, really that simple. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of lotions and all that. A lot of us are allergic to it, and I have to be really careful. So I just wear long sleeves, and I have, of course, a couple of hats, because I've worked outdoors for, I don't know, my whole life pretty much. And so I've always needed that kind of shade and coverage. But what I hope you'll find by getting your hands in the soil is getting close to earth, getting back to our origin, getting some peace, calm, quiet, where there's no necessary kids running around, and eventually, hopefully, you will have children gardening with you, or you'll have a gardening buddy. But sometimes we just need quiet. And I mean our soul and our energy and our head, especially when you're trying to figure out a problem. You're trying to figure out, how do I go to this person? How do I talk to this? How do I get this job? It is a great place, because guess what the plants do? Listen. They're just listening, and they're just helping, and they're just going to be beautiful, and they're going to teach you something. if you give them a chance.
Isn't
And
it
then,
also, oh,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I thought you were done
No, go
speaking.
ahead.
Isn't it there also an oxygen kind of exchange?
Thank you.
Mm.
Absolutely. If you want to breathe better, plant a plant. What you guys don't see across from my desk is a ficus. And I got him when he was this big. His pot was probably about the same size. And he's my Charlie Brown tree. And that reference means he drops his leaves all the time, and then he has no leaves, and then he has some leaves. And it doesn't matter how many great soils I put in, he was neglected as just a strapling, just a little bitty one. And when they get that, when you get a plant that's not been watered on a regular basis is usually the problem with nurseries. They really struggle. They really struggle. But for me, I look at it as the challenge. And that this plant has now been with me for 30 years.
Whoa, can we see the
Cannot believe it.
plants?
I had never added it up till now, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to tell her how old this plant is. This plant is over 30 years old. And it has all its leaves right now.
It would be great if we could see it.
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to turn it around? Everybody can see my dining room and all that kind of
Sure.
stuff. But also, I'll brag. I just did a test. I put a seed, one little seed. I'm always testing new things at its roots. And it is a trumpet vine. It's going to, please, Lord, it's going to have beautiful purple and white flowers.
Oh, sounds so pretty.
I put one little seed in the dirt with them to see how it would go, because I'm indoors and this is an outdoor flower. So it does that beautiful trumpet vine that a lot of people put on their fences or their wrought iron. So everybody ready to see
Ready to
it?
see it.
Here we go. Here we go.
Going on a tour.
Camera. Can we? There. What do we got? We got wall.
We got a wall.
Got a wall. Let's go, camera. Oh, I got to get behind you.
Can kind of see it.
Can you see him?
Yeah.
This is Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
And can you see the new baby?
No. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Point it back again.
Right here. Can you see our new baby?
Let me move. Hold on. Let me move the banner. Hold on. Okay, try again. Yes.
Can you see our new baby?
Oh, so sweet.
We're growing and we're going to have flowers.
Life continues on. I love it.
Yeah. And so, this is, again, something I've had. I bought it when I was in college, I had just left my mom's and dad's house and bought it when I was in college. And it was a teeny tiny little succulent. And even though it just struggles to keep those leaves as long as they should be there, we have a great time.
It's impressive.
Moved him to Southern California. I've moved him to Northern California. I've moved him everywhere. And he's always traveled in the car with me. I had a truck at that time. So he always traveled could you imagine that thing? He's struggling enough to have the wind.
Outside in the wind. No, forget it. He'd be like, ah!
Yeah. But this is what I'm encouraging you. I consider myself a real struggle with seeds. So I decided, okay, at least this year, I'm going to invest in seeds and find out where I'm not listening to what this plant needs, or what they do. Am I not giving enough moisture, and I'm not getting enough this? If you really want something that takes you away from your day-to-day stress, plant a seed and try to see if it comes up. And maybe you'll be so much luckier than I have been. And maybe it's my educational curve. I really look at those challenges that we have in life. If that's a relationship with a person, a relationship with your boss, or a relationship with a plant, somehow there's an education in there we're supposed to have. So I keep trying. And right now, my little seed is over 7 inches tall.
It's fantastic. Well done. Well done.
I got to keep trying.
A follow-up question for you,
Mm-hmm.
which is, if plants can grow in the house, if we can grow our own food in the house, and we don't need, or the plant doesn't need the ecosystem that is outside, why does the outside plantings, why do they need the worms and the bugs and
Well, and this little guy is glued up to a window, and it's an extremely big window. So this plant, the reason why I wanted to try not only a vine, because my poor little Charlie Brown tree is very light on leaves. Right now, he's about as many leaves as he's ever had, but the bottom is very sparse. And it's indoor, in direct sunlight. We get a little bit of direct sunlight only for about an hour or two. So all of this is counterintuitive to what this vine needs. So the ficus has adjusted over millions of years living with me. I have rarely had him in full sun, just because I didn't have a place for him to have that much sun. Ficuses are really great. You'll see them in offices everywhere because they are wonderful at tolerating shade, tolerating us forgetting to water it, tolerating a little less soil, food that we could use. They're wonderful at tolerating. And that's why they're really great in offices, because they don't need that straight on sun for very long, or they will adapt. And I have had him in darker places, and he's adapted beautifully. And yes, I'm calling my plant a he. It's just who I am. All my cats are usually called she, and that's just a habit. Now with the vine, this was me teaching me something. It is a full sun plant, and I have a couple of seeds planted outside in a pot that gets indirect sunlight half the day. And guess what? Those seeds are doing far less well. I have at least, I want to say 4 to 5 inches of vine already growing, and I have not one leaf up on the 3 or 4 seeds that went into the outdoor plant. And the outdoor plant has same actually plant. It's a ficus, and it's the same diameter of pot, same depth. The only difference is one's outside, one's inside.
That's really interesting. What do you attribute it to?
Well, I don't know. That's the science. I'm an animal science major, so I can extrapolate to plants because that's what I want to know. What is it about? This is supposed to be only an outside plant. So I have a wrought iron fencing that this plant is in the corner of. So how beautiful to have these trumpet flowers straight down my wrought iron, which is the stairs you come up to my home. So it'd be beautiful because they're a blue-pink flower, and the bell is supposed to be this much in diameter. So outside will be beautiful. But here we are with 67 inches in the house, protected. I don't open the window next to this plant because he's got health issues, so the window next to him might get open once in a while. But other than that, he's in a home. We don't use the air conditioner or heater except for at night or in the heat of a day, but otherwise he's out of any kind of weather. Outside, here these seeds should have taken off faster, theoretically, and yet there's more shade on that one, where this one has just indirect sunlight half the day, not even half the day, a quarter of the day. Why did they not come up? So I'm dying to know, anybody out there who's a seed aficionado, this is the science I love trying to figure out. But I also don't have I haven't looked online to say, okay, why did that seed open and this one didn't? And yet I use the same plant, I use the same soil, but I just changed locations.
Yeah, it's actually like a case study.
It is, exactly. And that's why I'm encouraging people. You think that, like, let's say, God forbid, we're through another lockdown where everybody's home alone or whatever. These are the little things you can keep yourself cognitively educated. And I'm gonna be really upfront, not just plugging. This is the channel that you're gonna get so many ideas of how you can live your life and improve your life. You don't need a pandemic to lock yourself in the house and with a great book or with growing your own plants. You can do it on your own. That's what we're trying to share. I think, and I'm sorry if I'm overstepping, but I don't think so, because all the shows I've watched are helping me think outside the box again on a new topic and a new way to be and a new way to be happy, new way to travel. And I'm telling you about the fun I do. I just make this stuff up and try to stay out of trouble with all the people I live with. That's the truth.
Well, I think even today we've looked at the same kind of plant inside and outside and different results. I think that's really interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm so fortunate to have 2 ficuses that are the exact same height. And this one's been with me the longest. That's why he's indoors, because I'm terrified anything happening to him. Just because this crazy plant, I got him as, you know, the little sapling, little bitty guy. And then when he got about this big, all of a sudden we started dropping our leaves. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're indoors. There's no such thing as fall indoors. But of course, a tree doesn't know that. But these types of trees, what I understand, again, I'm not the expert, but what I understood about when I adopted it, wasn't deciduous, meaning you don't doctorate your leaves. But this silly thing does every 12 to 16 months or so. I haven't clocked it for the 12, 15, well, what, now 20 years I've had this plant. And when he drops his leaf, I'm like, oh man, we're going through the naked season again. So again, putting this vine up there, and let's say we go, you know, this vine is now really taking off and doing well, but maybe I'll have these beautiful blue flowers. I'll keep everybody posted because we're good 3-4 months away from even a first bloom. But couldn't you imagine? It drops all its leaves, and I have this beautiful blue flower that's covered the naked bark wood. Doesn't have bark.
I know, it's.
But that was my thinking when it dropped its leaves again, because he drops them every year. He keeps thinking it's fall every bloody year. Sometimes it's only a quarter he drops, and then sometimes a half drops. He hasn't dropped all of them to my memory in the last 5 years, but he's very spindly. He's very spindly. So having this vine getting to go up the trunk and fill that space, I can't wait till we get a first bloom, and you guys will be the first ones I'll brag to, and we'll show blooms. And because the blooms are like the silver dollar, they're really good sized.
We'll have the title of that show will be "Show Us Your Blooms."
Yes. So show us ficus is because I just call him ficus. My daughter's like, did you name him? No, he's just ficus. You know, it could be Fi for short, but that's just.
I thought it was Charlie.
Oh, there you go. Charlie's good. I did say that. Say that. But yeah, he's just been around for so ever. And I figured somebody else can dress up the bark that he doesn't have, because ficus don't have bark, they just have trunks. And his spindly little, I hate it when I have to take a branch because it's going, you know, like this way or that way. And you're like, dude, we're not growing that direction. So once in a while you have to trim them. But if you guys get anything, I want it to be joy. I find joy with my hands in the soil, because I am the type of person, and maybe you're the same, that wants to be close to source, God, angels, nature. I don't care where you come from or what your path to getting there is. Let me encourage you to try gardening in whatever small means you can. I have to that direction on one of my counters is a cutting of they do them at cane. They're like cane trees. They sell them in little gift shops. You know, they have little green leaves. And I was given this 20 years ago. It is sitting on my kitchen counter because that's the best sun it could get. And again, it was probably bought at a gift shop, and they knew I loved plants, so they brought it to something I was at to give to me. And I thought, oh gosh, where am I going to put this? Because I can't put it just on a shelf. It's not enough sun. So where I am now, I can put it on the kitchen window and it gets 50% of the sun. Maybe you want to start out small. But what I find bringing life into your home brings life into your soul. And I mean that spiritually. I mean that energetically. Why do you think we talk about animals? This is the same thing. An animal who loves you because they do it unconditionally. They hope you feed them. They're thrilled when you pick up the poop. But when you pet them and sit with them and go for a walk with them and tell them about your day, so many of us do this with our plants. But I'm lucky to have 3 cats here. And they were all rescues and came to us in totally different ways, where we kept saying, oh, I can't take on another pet. And our house couldn't be more harmonious because these 3 cats have worked out who and what and where they go and what they're going to do and who to play with. One doesn't like to play. 2 of them love to roughhouse. It works out great. So putting your hands in soil is another avenue I'm hoping to leave you with to make your day better, to be in touch with not only source, but nature. And if we don't take care of nature outside, because we're not, that's where the global warming comes from, then we are going to lose the ability to breathe, the ability to coexist, and show love to other entities, animals, vegetable, mineral. You can try a 69-cent plant or something on clearance in the back. I would suggest if you're new to having a plant in the house, go big. Buy it full grown, happy, healthy. The nurseries, all the home shops that like Home Depot and Lowe's and all of those wonderful growing places, they have so many neat plants for you to try. And remember, it gets hungry, so it needs to have a watering machine. You can now put it on your phone and say, hey, water the plant, and remind you, because a lot of times that's what people forget, is to water the plant. We get really, really busy. And they have little, now they come decorative with little gnomes and things, and it puts water in, and it'll give it down to the plant when the plant is dry. So there's plenty of self-watering techniques for you if you want to try plants. There's so much to look at. Just surf the internet anywhere. Talk to any of the great nurseries that have staff that help you. A lot of the big chains don't any longer hire people who are knowledgeable about plants in the nurseries. So try to go to a nursery that has trained staff that can teach you, especially if you're brand new to having plants.
And of course, you know who else can help you? The plant wizard and the mother of Charlie. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just trying to share, your channel is about uplifting and about, us all having maybe some secret information that we just didn't think to, I've had people stop me in parties and this and that, and they're going, I'd really like to grow a plant, but I really suck at it. And guess what? I'm going to go, what? How can I help? Because that's the teacher in me. That's the teacher in me saying, I want to help. And that's why you're doing this channel, because there's so many topics that we can freely share with other people. We don't have to charge you $100 for you to do this silly stuff I'm doing, is growing a trumpet vine on my ficus. First of all, he's naked from the, this far down.
Yes.
But it's also, I want to keep learning. I want to keep learning.
Too.
Why am I not a success at seeds? What am I doing wrong? So I brought in a contained one that I can watch every day and not have to remember, go walk out on the patio and see how that one's doing. Oh, that's right. I'm too busy. We get that way. But guess what? I have to walk adjacent to get any food in this house. So the plant is on my path.
It's a beautiful way that you've set it up, and it's very inspirational to hear that Charlie's been with you for so long, and now there's a second generation of Charlie's family, and the fact that your ficus gets attention and your cats get attention, and together it's a beautiful family. So I'm very happy, and I'm glad that you showed us Charlie today.
I'm glad. Sometimes
nice.
Transporting cameras is
it's not an
dicey
easy
sometimes on live, but everybody knows now we mean the best. And I'll post the pictures. We'll share them, but we're not even at bud stage right now. We're just at leaf grown. So I'll tell you when we're at bud stage and we'll get our first baby.
I think that's
first baby pictures.
Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. So we are signing off for today. It's our last show. Believe it or not, it's our last show today in this venue. So I will be coming to you next week from another venue. I'm super excited. We'll hear more about that later. And Pet Psychic Amina, how can people reach out to you, and who would you like to contact you?
If you have any concerns about your pets, or you are talking end of life, I'm a specialist in that, and you can go through my website of why I have that designation. But I want to just encourage you, please ask for help. There's so many professionals. I am not the only one here, but I hope I'm the right one if you choose me. And go to bridgingworlds.us. Everything you want to know about me, all my social media, you want to follow me on social media. I give a lot of free tips, just like I do with Dr. Jacalyn and I on this channel. Again, find me at bridgingworlds.us.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everybody out there watching or listening on the live or the replay. We now have 37 shows a week that you can choose from. Go over to our website, book your session. It's usaglobaltvandradio.com. Go to our YouTube channel, which is surprisingly USA Global TV. And we love the support. We want to feature you. We want to hear from you. Please do reach out to Amina. She's on LinkedIn. She's on Facebook. She's here to help. She's giving her time because that's the kind of person she is. So thank you again, Amina. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Charlie.
Great weekend.
Great weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.